Hello, good evening. My name is Fabián de Jesús Ramírez Garcia, and this is team number one that includes Dante Emiliano and Grecia Regina. Today, we're going to present what is Evidence 2. For a little introduction, a presentation can fail not because the topic is weak, but because the delivery breaks trust with the audience. When messages are unclear, visual distract more than support, or the speaker disconnects through monotony or poor preparation, even great ideas lose impact. A failed presentation teaches us what not to do, neglect clarity, ignore design, and forget the audience experience. So for this first example, we have that for many, giving a perfect presentation requires time and preparation to avoid a host of significant errors that could have repercussions. Sometimes we focus too much on the visual aspect, the audience interest, the message we want to convey, controlling our own nerves, and the attention we give our audience. For the next slides, we will provide examples of errors and how to avoid them. For the first one, we have the lack of visual hierarchy. In this slide, we can observe that the colors used for the words doesn't seem like the best combination because it can barely be seen because of the white background. Another notable thing is the fonts and size used. The public cannot guess easily what is the title, the subtitles, or the information of the slide, as per the low quality image of the toaster that it doesn't give a good representation of this topic. So, what we can do to avoid this? Well, to avoid these problems, we can use a unique color and font for the title so the public can guess what is the slide about. A good size and distribution of the information that can be watched even for the people at the bottom of the room, and of course the images of good quality so the topic can be compressed 100%.
All right. So now we're going to pass to see another examples of the most common mistakes about giving a presentation. So let's continue with the next ones. And oh, what do we have here? It seems that we have so much information on my slide. And actually, it seems a pretty lack of an awkwardly compared with the another ones. Well, that if you notice is because this slide actually contains three kind of mistakes that we can make at the time to do a presentation. Not in the appointment on talking, but also in the visual and the content of the presentation. So let's talk about it. Meanwhile, we say some advices so we can avoid to make these mistakes. So please let's see those mistakes and the solutions. All right. So now we're going to start with the first one and the most representative on the previous slide. And this is the slides are not your presentations. And basically stooping everything you know or have researched into your presentation and have to use a tiny size font that the audience cannot read in order to make it fit. Well, basically, this was the first one and the most significant one because let's be honest, we neither of both of us can barely see what we are reading. So basically, this mistake is taking all of the information that you found in a start about this about your topic and represent it all in only one slide. That's one of the most common mistakes, and this affects the font of our of presentation and the comprehension of it, making it a very tiny font that very can be understandable. And a way to avoid it is basically doing what we are doing here, is basically separating the information and putting only the most important. One thing that we're gonna share with the next one, with the next problem and the next solution. Okay, TMI, too much information. Sometimes we have so many things to say to that we lose the order and the logic behind them. But that doesn't mean you have to talk and talk just to use up all of the time you have been alone. Yeah. So basically, it basically shares the same kind of same point of the last one, but this one is used making a type of sense on and basically ending reading too much information or basically reading everything that you got. You bored the public and you lost the track of your own presentation. So this is a very important one. And how we can avoid it? Putting only the most important information and the most impactive of the topic, like a tip or a very interesting point of everything of every topic in kind of words. It also helps to paraphrase a concept. If it's too long, you can reformulate it, statements and make it more digestive for the audience in a few words. Please continue to the next slide, and we're going to end with these three mistakes that were committed. And finally, the poorly designed presentation. If you choose to design your own template, you could be making it worse. That's why you should assure to make the style of the presentation match with the core of it. This includes the images. It's a very important one because the design of the presentation it's very important. It maintains the focus of your audience, but it also can be distractive. In this one, in this one case, is all the adverse, all the country one. Uh, it basically lacks of design and can be a little bit annoying to see. All only information and a plain font in a little in a little worse. And how we can avoid it? Well, you can find a middle point on the kind of designs that you use. Not so much impacting, but also interesting enough to keep the attention of the audience, and also always you match with the presentation that you are or topic that you are presenting about. So let's continue with the next ones.
Okay, now in the next section, we can see that the slide has many visual errors. Well, the first thing is that the background is very saturated, making it hurt the eyes and look unattractive. We can also see that the information section has too much text, making it boring for people watching the presentation because of how long it is. Another point is that there are many spelling errors, such as in the title or the list of features, which makes it look very unprofessional and cause us to lose credibility. And in the top it off, we see that the image used is very unprofessional, reiterating the previous point about the lack of the seriousness. And the next slide, please. Okay, on the next slide, we see the presentation with the errors corrected. Now, the background is not saturated and is in line with the aesthetic of the presentation. We also see the information is more concise and only covers the key points. And there are no longer any spelling errors, restoring the seriousness of the information. And the last in the image use is appropriate for the type of presentation. All of this together makes the presentation more appropriate and understandable. The next, please. Well, We can conclude that the main points to avoid in order to have successful presentation are lack of visual hierarchy, poor color combination, inconsistent use of fonts, use of low quality image, over, overloading slide with information, and poor spelling. If you avoid this mistake by following the points we have talked you about, you can be sure that you will have a successful presentation at the end of the day. Next. Thank you for your time.